Hello everyone, I am Chelsea Homeland and I am one of the founders of Fulton Kids Club. I just wanted to have a quick video for those of you that were not able to attend the training last week. We understand that schedules are busy, and so we just wanted to have something where it's a little bit kind of faux face-to-face check-in, just about a little bit of the specifics to help you as you're preparing to volunteer. So some of you have already volunteered in the past, and some of this will be mostly redundant, but some of it will be new. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video as we prepare to start Fulton Kids Club this Monday. We're really excited. So if you can maybe, I don't know if you want to minimize this window and kind of put it to the side and then open the PDF that we sent you. I believe it's titled Volunteer Orientation Packet of some kind. You can open that document, and I'm just going to take you through that for the next 15 minutes or so. So what we did actually when we started the meeting last week, we started by having everybody share with a partner about a mentor, an adult mentor in your life that really played a pivotal role for you. I think that that's something that we're trying to anchor around for this program, is really recognize that we're not taking the place of the roles of obviously their family members or teachers or anyone else, but we are simply meant to be an additional adult in their life that sees them and knows them, cares about them. And so I think I'll share quickly one of mine. My mom was a single parent, and so and she worked as a Head Start preschool teacher actually. And we had some close family friends that actually lived next door to us, and so they're a little bit older than my mom, and a husband and wife couple that just really blessed me, that would help me with homework, that would talk through stuff with me. I'm the oldest of 3 kids, and so sometimes the pressure could feel a little heavy, and so I think just having an external adult that's not necessarily a family member that could be there for me in the midst of just kind of different ups and downs was really, really pivotal for me. So anyway, as we're doing all of this, I think if you can, think back to a person that really played that role in your life and meant a lot, and I think that that's kind of the thing that we're aiming toward with Fulton Kids Club, is to develop these meaningful relationships, both for something that we're going to receive as volunteers, the ways in which we get to be blessed by these kids, as well as to be able to pour into them. So that being said, we're going to go into the agenda. So Karen, our volunteer coordinator, did an incredible job of putting this packet together, so thank you, Karen. And so the couple things I'm going to cover in this video are kind of why we're doing this, what we're doing, how we're doing it, kind of what we do, when the kids start to act out a little bit, and then what do we do kind of when, ... So kind of different volunteer expectations. So I'm going to jump right into it. So why are we doing this? So I'm just going to try and do a brief introduction to Fulton Kids Club. So I've been in the city for about 3 years, and about 6 months before I moved, I was able to connect with Chris Mills, who is one of the leaders in Young Life here in the city. And they were just starting to do Young Life here in Chelsea, and they recognized that most of the kids they were working with all lived in the same housing project, public housing development in Chelsea at Fulton Houses. And so they were able to work with the president of the Tenants Association at Fulton Houses to give them space. He was telling me about all this. I'm like, this is incredible. And he's like, yeah, so do you want to volunteer? And I was just like, well, actually, I don't live here. Not yet, at least. And I really had a heart to work with kids that are in elementary school, kids like 10 and under. And so his eyes kind of got wide, and he was like, actually, we have a huge need for that, because the parents, bring their middle school and their high school kids, but we don't have the kind of knowledge or resources for an elementary school program. So if you'd have an interest in doing that, that would be great. And so I was kind of like, this guy's known me for like 5 minutes. This is so crazy, but it's something I had been praying for, actually, because I used to help run an after-school program in South LA during college, and I've done educational public policy for the last 10 years or so, and I've really missed working directly with kids and families. So I partnered with 2 other women from the Gallery Church, is another local church in Chelsea that Chris attends, and as well as 3 women from the Salvation Army on 14th. And yeah, we started our first meeting with the kids in September of 2014, so 2 years ago. And it was amazing because the women from the Salvation Army had actually been running an after-school program in the area and lost funding for it. So they were looking for a way to really connect with the kids and their families that they had known. And so they really helped us develop relationships with the families that we probably wouldn't have necessarily had as much. So anyway, that's a long kind of explanation. But yeah, so we were able to start up this kids program 2 years ago. This past year, the 2015-16 school year was our first year having external volunteers. So it's been a learning process, and so even me doing this video right now is part of the beauty of Karen Chen helping us to really prepare curriculum for volunteers. So obviously after you read this or watch this video and kind of read through our materials, if you have questions, please reach out to myself or Karen. We always want to be available to you if you have any questions or concerns or any of those things. So, okay, that being said, what are we doing? So we're kind of looking at our weekly activities. So if you look to the, I believe, 3rd page of the packet, you can kind of look and see what our normal day, or evening, I should say, with the kids looks like. So we clearly communicate the gospel each week. We build a foundation in kind of knowing and encountering God's character and love with the kids. So in our conversations with them, in our times of prayer, and really just kind of showing how God really changes us, really helps us know how to love people better. Yeah, so anyway, so if you look through, it says a regular week, so it's the very beginning, so around 6 to 6:20 is when we ask the volunteers to arrive, ideally by 6. I know a lot of people's work schedules kind of prevent them from being able to do that, but ideally if you're able to be there by 6 o'clock, that would be great. If you can't, just let Karen or I know. But because the first 15 or 20 minutes or so, we're kind of cleaning and prepping the room and then just able to pray together, because the kids start arriving around 6:15, 6:20 as well, because they really want to get there. So, yeah, so we're doing that in the beginning. Then we have dinner with the kids after that. We pass out pizza and snacks and water and just kind of sit with them, hang out, talk. We're going to be trying to narrow this time down a little bit, because as you can see on here, I think we have it down for, like 40 minutes. So I think we're going to try and narrow that to like 25 or 30 minutes. And then that's when we get into our lesson time. So the lessons will be sent out each week, so you kind of have an idea of what's going on. We're going to have specific group leaders that are prepared to kind of facilitate the discussion with the kids. We have specific children's Bibles that we use, the kids that are able to read. We have a couple of kindergartners and first graders that don't quite know how to read yet. But the kids actually can read it themselves and take turns, which is great. And then after the lesson, we break into kind of group discussion, prayer time, and then at the end of the evening, we'll normally do like a game, some kind of arts and crafts thing, and then the parents either pick up the kids by 7:30, 7:45 at the latest, or we walk them home, depending on kind of what their situation is. So next, we kind of have an example of what that lessons actually look like. So this semester, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing each week on a different aspect of God's character. So, like compassion or mercy or love, just the ways in which grace, the ways in which He loves us even despite, when we fail, that He still chooses us. So things like that, that it's not just about being good, which is oftentimes how the kids associate God's love is, when they're good. So that's just being able to kind of help them understand the gospel better in that. So the lesson that we have, sorry, I'm looking down because I'm looking at my phone that has all the information on it. But if you look at it, the sample lesson kind of gives you an idea of what we'll be doing. So we'll start out with we don't always do this, it depends, but some kind of interactive way to connect with the kids. So we have this M&M game where it's a bunch of different M&Ms of different colors, and they pick one out, and depending on the color, they answer a certain question. So being able to really kind of engage with them, learn about them, kind of even hear about their day, because really ultimately that's what we're doing, is we're there to be able to connect with them, to help them feel really seen, and yeah, and being able to make sure that they have the freedom to kind of share in kind of whatever way they want to or need to. So, so he talks about the M&M game, and then it kind of gives an example of the lesson, like the Good Samaritan. And basically, so we kind of read through the Bible story, and then we ask kind of the same questions each week during the prayer time, but also on here, it's like kind of thinking through, you know, either having the kids retell the story to each other to ensure comprehension, ask them if they have questions about it, what they thought about the story, you know, in this story specific, you know, asking them, what do you think it means to be someone's neighbor? What do you think it means? What would that practically look like in your life? And then also us as adults being able also to be able to share kind of more specifically what that looks like. So that's the kind of the lesson goals, and then we go into prayer time. So normally one volunteer with like a couple kids. Again, kind of being able to have even more one-on-one time from the group setting, and just being able to kind of hear about what's going on in their lives. Do they have, you know, a family member that's ill? Are they doing well in school? Are they having difficulty with their sister? Kind of what's going on in their life, and then really kind of helping them understand the power of prayer. So that's been something that's been really incredible with a few of the kids, is really, we want to hopefully connect the same volunteers to the same kids each week as much as we can. So being able to see over time the ways in which we're like, hey, remember when you were praying that thing for a while back? You just did amazing on your math test, you know, and putting in the hard work really made a big difference. But also, you know, God knows that you needed that, or, you know, someone's family member is sick, you know, just things like that. So I think just helping them understand the power of prayer in those moments. So kind of going then to how are we doing this. So this is page 5 now. And I think one thing that we're really wanting to focus on is thinking about patience and presence. So Karen listed here, you know, if you're faithful in the little things, you'll be faithful in the large ones, Luke 6:11. So really, I think really being as present as possible. So I think that we all have such busy lives. There's so much going on. You know, it can be easy to check our phones or all of this stuff, but really being fully present as much as we possibly can. And just continuing to be very patient with the kids, continuing to be able to just be patient and really asking them questions. Sometimes, we're going to get into this in a minute, but, you know, sometimes they're short answers, so kind of being patient and drawing them out, you know, as it takes time for that. So I think, you know, really getting ready even before you come to be able to enter more into their world, and being able to kind of think about, Karen was saying this, that we both in some ways are very goal-oriented, and so we're thinking not really about results in the moment of what they're giving you, but really the development of a relationship, and that we're in it for the long game with these kids, you know, like that we really desire for them to be able to feel like, you know, okay, in this moment, if they don't engage with me, that's okay, but I'm going to be here, and I'm going to listen, and that's not going to deter me from coming back, or that's not going to deter me from working with them again, or any of those things. So just continuing to be patient in that. But I think one thing that we wanted to be helpful with is kind of thinking through, how do we ask questions well? So oftentimes, as you can kind of see the examples that Karen listed here, you think about close-ended questions where it's a yes or no response. So that's a little bit harder for them to then extrapolate, which they don't tend to do in general, and really thinking through, okay, how do I talk through this? How do I kind of ask them questions? So really thinking about open-ended questions. So using the words instead of like, do you play basketball? Have you been to Coney Island? You know, is this your favorite color? Are you a dancer? Thinking more like, you know, how is your dance class going? You know, what do you think about what we just read? Why is Selena Gomez or whoever your favorite singer? You know, tell me, you know, what was something fun that you did this summer? So I think that those kinds of words like how, what, why, tell me more about this. I think the tell me has been really helpful as I've worked with the kids, is really kind of thinking through, like, tell me, where they're like, oh, they actually want to know about it. You know, tell me about this, you know. So yeah, so we actually played an activity at the volunteer meeting and kind of tossed a ball around, kind of just practicing asking these kinds of questions. So ultimately, what she said on here is kind of just be yourself. And one thing that she said too was your ceiling of faith is the next generation's platform. So I think about the ways in which, we have been able to grow spiritually is like, not only do the kids have to start from there, but how do we make it to where we can really impart things we have learned, and really have them grow so far and beyond even where we've grown in our spiritual walk as well. So kind of planting those seeds now. All right, so next section is a little bit more challenging at times, but it's what do we do when the kids ... So our kids are pretty rambunctious. They are very energetic. They've also kind of been at school all day, and so they want to get up and they want to move around and they want to talk. And for those of you that haven't been to the actual room yet, the acoustics of the room are not great because the floor is like is tile, and then the ceiling I think is, I don't know, concrete or something. So it just echoes a lot. So even when the kids aren't being super loud, it's just noisy in the room. So so what we've tried to do is kind of figure out ways to have sort of more positive than negative reinforcement. And one of our volunteers at our training, who's a teacher, she was mentioning that, kind of having about 4 positive comments to 1 negative is about the right amount, 3 or 4. So really kind of looking at the kids when, you see them, oh, wow, thank you so much, Tyler, for, sitting quietly as we get the books out. Or, thank you so much, Kiki, for helping us pass out the pizza. Or just kind of basic things. When you see them doing even just kind of what they're supposed to be doing, I think that, kind of reinforcing those moments, because a lot of times when the kids are acting out, it's because they want to get attention. And so we want to show the kids that the ways they're going to get attention is actually by doing the right thing and by being able to be engaged and listening to us and respecting us as leaders. So we're really trying to make kind of disciplinary sort of things, I don't know, making it more positive versus focusing on like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. Really thinking about like, respect each other, be safe, talking about, and which kind of goes to our rules on the next page. But so we're just wanting to create a positive environment because we want this to be a fun space. We don't want it to be like school. We don't want them to feel like they have to be completely silent and whatever. But also at the same time, we have to have some kind of like room management. So that's what we've been working on the last couple of years. So if you have a challenge with that, just let us know. As you can see on here, kind of what our idea is to really think through, just like I said, positive reinforcement, but also you can see kind of our consequences and discipline sort of policy. So first, it's just kind of a reminder of the rules. So if they're being disrespectful to someone or something, you can be like, we're going to have a poster board up of the rules, and you can be like, hey, remember when we talked about the rules? You weren't really being respectful in that moment, blah, blah, blah. And then if it continues to happen, then you can have them talk with myself, Karen, or Jen, who are the three of us that are leading the program. So one of us will talk with them. And then after that, if they go back to the table and they're still acting out or whatever, then what we'll do is one of the 3 of us will take them and kind of put them on a break, so to speak. So they'll just have about 5 minutes where they'll kind of be on their own, kind of process, what's going on. And then, if it continues and it's something that's incredibly unsafe or there are things that are happening, then I can call one of the parents if need be. We've never had to do that really at this point, but obviously for the kids to know that if it gets to that point, we will do that. So that's kind of what the plan is basically as far as it comes to kind of consequences and discipline. So you can kind of see on the next page, I believe it's page 7, kind of our rules and consequences. So we have all of those listed, and we'll have that up in the room. So kind of going through that. And then one of the volunteers last week also mentioned some of the kids, especially depending on what age they are, they may or may not necessarily know what does respect really mean. So I think we're going to, on Monday, on our first week, we're going to kind of go through with the kids and be like, so what does it look like when you respect somebody? Instead of being like, what does disrespect mean? And when you hit someone, when you do all this stuff. So again, going back to positive reinforcement, thinking about what does respect look like? How do you treat someone with respect? What does that look like? So helping them really kind of think through that. And then Karen also listed some of the conflict resolution questions. So also kind of helping, we're working even more to kind of help the kids, especially if the conflict is between 2 kids, really kind of helping them know how to resolve conflict between each other. So kind of asking, you know, what happened? What was your part in what happened? Sorry, this print is really small. Yeah. Why did you do what you did? How does this affect other people? How did this affect you? What are, you know, 2 specific things you could do better in the future? So kind of just some specific questions, yeah, when we're going into those details. So anyway, again, it's an area that we're still learning in. If any of you have worked with kids in the past and have ways in which it's worked really well, please reach out to Karen or myself. We'd love to kind of hear from you. These are just some things that have worked well with our kids specifically, but we're always open to learning more. So yeah, last but not least, how you sign up. So many of you have probably already received this email from Karen. If you haven't, let me know. But we send out a link in order for the volunteers to sign up for the semester. So I believe we're meeting 11 or 12 times throughout the semester. So we don't meet quite every Monday. Like we're not meeting on Halloween. And then I think we're not meeting on Columbus Day, which is October 10th. Other than that, I think that those are the only days that we have off in the semester. But yeah, so we're meeting throughout the semester, and so what we're asking volunteers to do is to kind of look at the schedule. We're asking that you volunteer at least twice a month, again, because a lot of what we're doing is to try and build relationships with the kids. So if you're only coming once a month, it makes it tough. We know that things come up, so we're definitely flexible to that. But at this point, if you know I can't volunteer twice a month, then another semester might be a better time for you. But so anyway, we're sending out the link. It'll have all the dates on there. I forget what it's like signup.com or something. Karen will send you the link where you're able to then kind of look at your schedule and sign up for all of your slots for the semester. And then, you know, obviously down the line, if something changes and one specific date doesn't work for you and you need to change it, that's pretty easily done on the online system. But it just helps us to kind of know in advance, okay, how many volunteers do we have on which day? We're really light on one day. How do we need to do that? So some other basic questions are how many kids we have each week. So I'd say we have usually about 12 to 15 kids. As we start out the semester, we kind of never really know exactly how many kids we'll have. But I think we're hoping to be able to, at this point, we're expecting that pretty much all of our kids from last semester will come back. We had about 17 kids total. Again, 12 to 15 on any given week. So. All right, well, again, and then the last thing is just the background check. So that's just kind of a pretty basic thing that we do when people work with kids. We ask that everybody goes through a background check. So if you have not yet filled that out, we can't let you sign up yet. But so please turn that in. You can fill out the form and then take a picture of it and send it to us. We'll make sure to be very careful with your information. And make sure we can kind of get that rolling so that way you can join us in serving. So, all right, well, that was 23 minutes. That's a long time. So, yeah, so that's the gist. I just wanted to make sure I got to check in with you guys. It's a little longer than I was hoping for, but we're so excited for this semester. I've already had several of the parents and even the kids that have cell phones texting me, just really excited to start this semester. So we're just so thankful that you guys are interested in volunteering with Fulton Kids Club. And again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please reach out to me. Let me know. I think most of you have my email. It's chelseahomeland@gmail.com. And yeah, we're excited. It's going to be a great semester, and we're so glad to have you guys with us. So yeah, look forward to it. Thanks, everyone.